recording a quick intro to this video because I actually filmed this quite a long time ago, a really long time ago. I recorded the film, I had it all edited on my computer, and for some reason forgot that I'd done it, and I never put it out. So I wanted to do it because I actually think, I hope it's helpful and can show a bit of what reality of sewing can be like. Incidentally, I'm wearing a toile for a dress that I'm in the process of mocking up, and I just thought I'd record this quickly in between things, which is why I look like I might have just walked out of a Roman slave house. So this is going to be a little bit of a backstep in time to me in my studio when I still had it, talking through one of the projects that I worked on probably last year or the year before, which sadly did not go as well as perhaps I would have liked. I make it sound very dramatic in this, having watched it back. It's not, it's just a dress. But as I explain, I hope it's useful for you. At the end, I'll come back and tell you what eventually happened because I didn't film the follow-up to that ever, so I can give you the full story. But I hope this is helpful and I hope you enjoy it. And over to Helen of about 2 years ago.
Hello everybody. I wanted to give you an update on the blue silk dress I made for my mum because it was a while back and it's been a bit of a process. And so much on YouTube you get the glossed version of what happens when things get made in people's lives in general, and that's a shame because I think it means that everyone thinks that everything always goes perfectly, which it absolutely doesn't. And this dress is an example of when things do not go perfectly. And the reason I have it on my dressmaker's dummy is because this has had to be abandoned as a project, which I cannot tell you how sad it makes me, mostly because it's for my mum, and letting her down is an extraordinarily awful thing to do, but also because the things that happened with this dress I think I could have prevented, and that makes me even more cross. But I wanted to share it with you because I think it's taught me a lot, and I didn't want my channel to just be about all the great stuff. I kind of wanted to be able to share with you the things that don't go right as well. So I'm going to talk you through this dress. This is an adapted version of a Vogue pattern, V8814, which is this lovely bias cut dress. Now, my mum really liked this. I made this pattern for a very close friend of mine in a beautiful silk from Singapore, which I'll link to in the top corner if you want to see the final version of that, because that was really good and went brilliantly. But for this, I adapted it slightly because my mum wanted sleeves on it, and the original does not have sleeves. So I redrafted the top panel, so you may not be able to see very clearly in here because the blue is quite vibrant, but there's basically a bias line here and here, and it's in panels. I'm sorry it's a bit creased, I haven't had a chance to iron it properly. And I redrafted this based on my mum's moulage that I'd already made her. So I'd already made my mum up a sloper block so that I could draft things for her, and then we decided that actually we really liked this pattern, but it was helpful because it meant that I could draft the top half again so that we could fit a sleeve in it. And then obviously I drafted these sort of slightly fluted sleeves, which are really beautiful and look lovely with the dress because it's got this amazing swing at the bottom. Let me just hitch it up a bit so you can see now. So it's got this beautiful bias cut skirt that twizzles. It's lovely. So, I made this, we made a toile, we fitted the toile and that was fine, and I made adjustments and then we checked those and then we went into the final version. This is an extraordinarily difficult dress because it's all cut on the bias. We made it in this absolutely beautiful electric blue silk crepe, which was very expensive. Very expensive, which is, I'm even more let's just not go into how cross I am about it. It's too cross. So it shifts and moves all the time. It's on the bias, so it shifts and moves all the time. Every piece of this needs to be cut out and then stay stitched individually. There's a video with this process up here if you want to look at me doing that. The dress is actually fine. It fits beautifully. It looks amazing. The back is gorgeous. All the things map up. The only problem, and this is the reason for the abandonment, is this area here. This is where the bottom of the zip finishes, and it's also a point where two seams come together to a point at this point here. When I handed this over to my mum, we couldn't see that there was a place where the fabric kind of, it almost was like it had got caught and then wasn't hanging properly. And Mum said, you know, can you fix it? So I said, yeah, I'll have a look, that's fine. And so I spent 2 or 3 hours just trying to fix it, and it just wasn't going to work. And my mum, bless her, who is older, wiser, and very experienced in making things. She was a wonderful quilter. She now makes silver jewellery. She's a gardener. She's massively creative and knows exactly how these processes work. Sat me down and she just said, Helen, I think there's a time where you just have to say it's done and chalk it up to experience and accept that you just move on and we'll do something else. We'll make something else. It'll be fine. And given the amount that she spent on the fabric, given how many backwards and forwards fittings we'd had, given how long this has taken, it was a very generous and very kind thing for her to do, which made me very upset. I am still hopeful that I can fix it. I think the problem is that there's not actually enough fabric in these back panels, and I'm hoping I've left enough seam allowance that I could take them out of it, and that might fix it. And I'm going to try to do that for her before Christmas, so we can at least have one last attempt, because it's so lovely and it looks so beautiful on her. There's a video of her wearing it when I handed it over before we realised this problem on Instagram, if you want to see it. And it just, the colour is amazing on her, the fit is just beautiful, it's gorgeous. But I can't give it to her like this, I just can't, and I need to work out whether I can fix it or not. And the really annoying thing is that I knew as I was trying to fix it that it wasn't the right way to do it, and I was trying to sticking plaster over something quite quickly that really should be taking me some time. And when I originally put the dress together, it was fine on the dummy, but then as soon as I put it on, it wasn't fine. And both she and I have got a slight sway back and a bit more of a bum, perhaps, than my dressmaker's dummy does. And I think that's the issue. And it's just when my lack of experience in these things really comes to the fore, and it frustrates me when I do things that I know I shouldn't be doing. And I do this all the time with my sewing. I do tend to rush things when I shouldn't rush them. I am one of those people who really likes to finish a project, and unless I can stack up in my head that I'm going to take time over things, like my share projects, and even this was going to take months because it was a multi-stage process where I was going to have to do fittings with someone who lives on the other side of the country, and it was going to require really careful, cautious work. And I did that all the way up to the last point. And because I felt like I'd handed it over, psychologically I just wanted to get it finished. And that is not a good place to be. So I'm immensely sad about it. But I'm hoping I might be able to just about salvage it, but it's a real might. But I wanted to share it with you because I'm sure everyone has moments where they just get really, really cross about ruining something beautiful, and this is one of mine. And it would have been bad if it was for me, but it's awful because it's for my mum. She, of course, is wonderful about it and tells me that I should just, you just have to carry on and move on, which of course I am doing. It's not, keeping me up at night. But it's not always great, and there are moments where you do feel pretty terrible about yourself and what you've done. It's only a dress. There are worse things that have happened in life, let's be honest. But, yeah, it's a tough one. It's a tough one to take. So anyway, I'm going to have another look at it, and if I manage to fix it, which is a big if, I will let you know and show you the final version. And if not, what I'd love to do is try and salvage some of the fabric so I can make her something, because the colour is so fabulous on her. So it's whether I could turn it into a top. That's one of my thoughts. So kind of cut it off around here, which would mean she's got some slightly interesting kind of bias lines, but and maybe even, I don't know about the zip. The only thing is the zip. The problem is the zip is really beautiful up until this point. Like, there's not even a wrinkle in it. It's gorgeous. It took me a lot of time. And there's I'll show you this too. There's a zip panel in the back so that you don't have the zip against your skin. So it's really comfortable to wear. But the fabric's just beautiful. I do need to try and fix it. Anyway, so there you go. It's not all joy and sparkle in the world of sewing, and but I want to share it to say it happens to everybody. I mean, of course it happens to me. I am not. I am by no means an expert. I'm really not. I'm completely self-taught. I've been doing this for, someone asked me the other day, I've been dressmaking seriously for only about 3.5, 4 years. So, of course things go wrong. Absolutely, of course they do. But I think this was an example of me overreaching and believing that I could do something very difficult that I knew was going to be difficult in advance and sort of felt I shouldn't be scared and I should just try it, which I'm glad I did, but it's a shame that Mum won't have this dress. So, but I'm going to make her another one that will not be this pattern or this fabric, but I'm going to make her one, and hopefully that will work well. Yeah. Anyway, so I hope your sewing's going well this week, and I'll see you all again soon.
So yes, life is not always happy and exciting in the sewing world. The upshot of all of that was I realised that the problem with that dress was that there wasn't enough room in the bottom, as I suspected. And somehow, despite the fact that I'd done toiles, I didn't account for that. In hindsight, the reason for that was that actually in the toile I made for my mum, I never finished the skirt. I did 3/4 of it and I ran out of fabric. And then because it's such a full skirt, because it was on the bias, I just assumed that'll be fine. Yeah, turns out that wasn't true. Never do that. Actually finish a toile, Helen. Very sensible. Hence why I'm doing that now. But therefore I thought, right, well, I bought some extra fabric. I went back to Goldhawk Road. I made the trip and went and got some extra because it was one of their standard stocks, that shop, thankfully. So they still have it. If you love the fabric, it is amazing. If a devil to work with. I bought some more and I put go days into the sides of the dress. So if any of you watch, it's called Strictly Come Dancing in this country. I suspect in other places it's what, Dancing with the Stars. It's an amazing woman who makes all the outfits and she quite often talks through the designs of them all. A go day is a triangular panel that you put in to create fullness in a skirt. And normally in ballroom gowns, they've got loads of them. I just put 2 into the side seams and actually that allowed enough room for it to accommodate the body, and it also stayed with the kind of swishy nature of the bottom of the dress, and actually you wouldn't even notice. I gave it to my mum and she was like, oh, this has been fixed. What happened? She couldn't see what I'd done. I showed her. There is still a very slight crinkle in the original area, and I think that's just because I messed with it a lot when I tried to fix it. However, my mum said, it's okay, I'm going to make a bow and put a bow on the bottom as a feature. If you send me the scrap fabric you've got left, I'm going to do that and then it'll be done. So all's well that ends well. I don't actually think she's worn it yet because she's not put the bow on it. But I did call her this morning to say, I'm putting this video out. It makes it sound like it was a disaster and I was traumatised. I wasn't. She's like, oh yeah, I haven't put the bow on that. I'll do that. And then it's spring, so I'll be able to wear it. So we got there eventually, but it was a series of unfortunate events, all mostly designed by me unwittingly, that meant that we ended up in that place. But I hope that has shown that even with a lot of careful work and hard work, you can still mess something up. I still do mess things up on a regular basis, and that you can still rectify them. And even if you can't, you learn a huge amount, in fact, a lot more from the things you do wrong, as we all know, than the things that go perfectly. So I hope that's helpful, and I hope that you enjoyed it. And if you have any projects that are sitting unloved because you just realised that it was a lost cause, see if you can salvage something out of them. You never know. You could find an amazing garment just waiting to be uncovered in a pile somewhere. So I hope you go off and do that, and I will see you again very soon.